Well, hey there again, River Life family. So great that you're joining us for another one of our worship chats. We've had the privilege of being able to have some different guests with us, pastors, staff, congregation and the like, as well as the worship team previously. But just great to gather around something that's so important to us as a family and just get different insights. And we realize that sometimes some keys for people in growing in their worship and understanding come from just hearing testimony and the power of testimony from people that have walked this road themselves. And so I have today with me Pastor Lucjan, one of our district pastors here at River Life. Thanks so much for joining us, Lucjan, and giving us your time just to hear a bit of your story. Maybe some people don't know, your journey, and so I think it's just great to be able to have this time together. I think my first memory of you was when I was a brand new green Christian, here, and had sort of seen you in and about the church. You weren't on staff, and then as time progressed, and I started dating Paula, and then eventually, asked for her hand in marriage from her mum Maria, and I'll never forget Maria saying to me, well, I think, mate, that you might need to get through Lucjan first to have the yes, and it was just a real testament of your, the father figure that you are in our community, and so we just also appreciate you and your heart, I can attest to just being inspired by your life of worship as well. But I know that wasn't always probably the case, as you've shared with me. You've been a bit of a journey with that. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit of that story of how, your journey of engaging with God in worship and when that kind of started for you.
Yeah, first of all, you were just the perfect material for Paula. So that little chat went really well, and we get to see the blessing in your marriage over the years.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, my journey started really years ago. I was brought up in the Catholic Church through my father with a surname like Sosnowski, a good Polish Catholic family, and I got to know about God and was introduced to that style of worship all those years ago. But that was just a start and a drawing for me. If I look back over those years, how that was foundational in God preparing me for this journey with Him, and. We fast forward to the years we emigrated to Australia, and KBC was the first church we walked in. We knew that was going to be our place where we were going to grow in our faith and as a family and as individuals. And I was immediately moved by just worship in that space, and whatever that meant to me, it was a fairly new experience. God was setting the framework for me to, waiting for me to respond to His call as I experienced worship and what it meant to me in those days.
And what do you think were maybe some of the wrestles back then, or things now that you look back in hindsight that you found were maybe barriers for you, or things that maybe you had to overcome in that journey? That time of your life?
Yeah, I think when you come with preconceived ideas, I think that kind of frames your prejudice, I suppose, or your outlook of what is ideal for you. My experience over the years, as I look back, is the more I made it about God and not about me, the more I was able to respond to whatever the worship style, whatever the worship songs were at that time, and
yes.
And that's one of the key points for me personally as we were chatting and looking back to where it all started, and that was, I suppose, a key pivot point for me in understanding that whatever I was going to experience in that worship environment, it was all I've got to take the focus off me and put it all on God.
Yeah, because I guess I've always known you as just I guess, spirit-filled, passionate, always encouraging me to pursue more of God. One of the memories I have of you, and I think it was even before you were on staff here, was that I was literally just going to Baker's Delight at Kenmore early in the morning to get some croissants, and I pulled up and I saw you in your car, and it was when you were working as a real estate agent, and I kind of looked through the window and I saw you there, and you had your Bible open on the steering wheel and your eyes were closed and you had your hands out just receiving from the Lord. And so, I remember being really impacted by that. But just in chatting to you, knowing that didn't kind of come easy to you, or didn't just sort of, hasn't always been the case, that there was a journey that you went through. Talk a little bit about that. I think you mentioned to me that around the time of the Spirit Fire conference we had back in, I think, 2009 or so, around then.
That was one of those experiences that I look back on with absolute humility, because God took me as someone who wanted to control the environment that I was in, and try to move the way I felt that I wanted to move, and that was those were the years in which I took a fundamental intentional step of engaging with God in whatever way I could, and so whether that was doing our transforming course in the car park of the real estate agency that I was working in, probably listening to worship music in the background, to perhaps even driving up to Mount Cootha and spending time up there in the hours that I had free, to experiencing then the amazing, awesome corporate worship in the Spirit Fire in a conference environment, and God, He, I just know that that it's not unique to me. This is a journey for everybody, and you got to get to that tipping point where you realize that there's something so much greater for us to pursue. It's literally out of this world. It's heavenly, and we need to understand that we can't create anything, we can't set it up. Only God can draw us into that place of experiencing something that's unique to us, but it's unique to the corporate expression of what our church is about. And I would never forget that particular conference. The Holy Spirit met me in a very personal way, and just turned my whole understanding of what it means to worship completely upside down. And it's been, it's an ongoing challenge for me. I mean, I don't want it ever to be to get used to that. I always want to be in a place of knowing, as I enter this space of waiting and listening to God, and waiting for Him to minister to me, that I will that I'll respond in a way that's not on from my strength, but Him drawing me into His presence.
Yeah. And what do you think have been some of the maybe ongoing keys or ongoing things that you've had to work through? Like, I don't know, do you have a bit of a process that you go through to prepare yourself to receive whatever is happening? Every Sunday obviously is different, and every meeting, whether it's a small group or whether we do worship here as a staff, but just maybe some of those keys of how you prepare your heart, and maybe what you work through, because I feel like you've obviously experienced a lot of different genres of songs and probably been in a lot of different settings in your life, but I feel like your attitude or your heart never changes, and is always about the same thing. And so maybe you could share some of those keys. Yeah,
first of all, it's amazing that God has used worship, particularly worship for me. I'm a sportsman. I come from a sporting background. I've got 2 left feet. I can't dance on the dance floor. I don't remember titles of songs. But I know that as I engage in that space of worship, that's a place in which God is drawn, has made so powerful for me to actually engage with Him. I've got to be intentional about cutting out the noise around me. If I come into a Sunday morning worship space, I've spent an hour or 45 minutes out in the foyer already, speaking to people, perhaps even praying with somebody. I've got to clear that off the deck, so to speak, and be ready to receive what God has got for me in that space. So I'm already thinking about what I'm going to be doing to focus on the presence of the Lord. And so as I walk in the space, and once I start worshiping, I really am aware of what's going around me. I literally cut out the distractions, and I mean, even if they're good distractions, I try to not watch my grandkids running towards me when I'm worshiping, when they're running in the front of the church, because that as beautiful as that is, that can just break that place of intimacy with God, and I just prepare my mind. I clear the decks of those noises that you're referring to earlier on, and then it's all the audience of one. We've heard that phrase, and it's a very real intentional decision that I make when I come into the space here. Yeah,
that's so encouraging, and I know one thing that you've always said to me and shared with me is that our God is a God of. He invites us into more, to more of Him, to more, I guess, of His joy, and more of, transformation that we've talked about. 2 Corinthians says that we go from glory to glory. And so, I know your heart is really that, people would continually be looking forward and looking forward to what God has, because you've experienced that in your life. And I guess whether or not you could encourage people who maybe feel a little bit stuck at the moment in how to look forward and how to have that posture and attitude towards God of I guess open hands and of pressing forward.
I think although each of our journeys is unique, we never get to the point of being fully satisfied, and I think that's what leads you to having that hunger to want to have more. And probably my encouragement to those in our congregation that might be struggling in this area is don't be satisfied with the status quo. Don't be happy with what you're experiencing now. Step out into the unknown. Trust God about what He wants to say to you and how He wants to reveal Himself to you. Worship is one of those modes in which He's going to do that. I mean, it could be in a quiet time out at home. It could be whatever you're doing. But when you come into this space, let it be something special. Let it be an opportunity for you to sit back and say, Lord, I'm cutting my agenda. I'm cutting my preferences. I'm cutting the desires that I want to see come to pass in this space. And I'm prepared to take that risk and just see what the music, what the worship, what the style of worship is going to do for me in my relationship with you.
That's so cool. I know for me, I have such a dream of just, seeing this group of people of every different background, nationality, age, gender, all of that, just all coming in and all of us together just joining in that unified moment of really, prayerfully engaging with God. Sometimes I know I do my best to communicate it from the front, but just reminding people that, the songs are the songs, but at the end of the day, they're really the vehicle for that engagement with God. Otherwise we're kind of we're singing songs and that I don't think that's the tick, but that it's something that engages our hearts. And I just wondered if you have any personal dreams for this place and for things that you'd love to see, and what you could sort of see into the future of where this could go as we set aside the time to seek God in this in our prayer and in our worship of Him.
Look, I'm on board. I'm probably getting to be one of the older members of staff, and my hunger is not waning at all. And so I would love to see young and old, both ends of the age demographic, just be intentional about wanting to be part of the move of God in this house. We've come a long way. Nothing has drastically changed overnight. We've been on an intentional journey of being drawn deeper and deeper into this, using worship as a place of drawing us deeper and deeper into His presence. And I think a lot of people are going to be challenged by that. But challenge is good. Change is good, and it might be difficult for everybody to change at the same rate. But nevertheless, we can't stand still. We've got to be prepared to be moved into a new expression of what worship means, and whatever that is. I'd love to hear the voices of our people just lift together in a place of real worship. And we're coming to give gratitude to God for what He's doing in our lives, what He's done in our lives. We want to claim the promises He's given to us. What a way to do it! But to raise our voices together in a place like this.
Yeah, amen. I agree. Well, buddy, I really appreciate the time that you've given, and just want to honour you as well, just for the way you've helped mentor many of us younger pastors coming through. Often it's just in corridor conversations that you probably don't think twice about, but just the way that you've just continually spurred us on and pushed us forward, and we really, really appreciate that. And thanks for just being someone who loves God and who's demonstrated that, regardless of, as you said, being a sport-loving guy. I was the same, kind of just, kind of tried to be this macho man, but God undid that in me and showed me what love really looked like, and I've never been the same, and so appreciative of that. But thank you for your time, buddy. And church, I hope you've been blessed by some of these insights. Obviously, you can catch Pastor Lucjan around at the foyer and can chat to him further. He's always open and willing for that. But I hope this has been another encouraging just discussion for you and helps you in your journey. Bless you heaps.